Just gonna assume. Oh, there we go. It said it. So, oh, okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to be stepping away for until 4:20 to hash out some last minute things with the other half of the committee, and then we'll all be back here at 4:20. I suppose the two of you could talk amongst yourselves. You could I don't know, do something for the next 20 minutes or so. But we will reconvene back here as a complete committee at 4:20. Alrighty, sweet. So now.
You just joined the town of Amherst recently, is that correct?
Oh, me? Yeah, are you there?
Yep. Am I muted now?
Are you there, Stephen? You were out for a minute.
I am, but I don't know if you can hear me. Something's not working.
It's like, yeah, it's like you're on a spaceship. Are you swimming? Are you underwater?
It's not working. All right, I'll mute this.
Hello, hello. 1, 2. Hey, yep, gotcha. Mr. Sullivan.
Hi.
How's it going, Steve?
Oh, good. I rebooted because Emma couldn't hear me at all, like I was underwater, so I think it's better now.
It's better to be above water than under.
That's what I say.
Hi, Emma.
Hi.
We can do some real quick introductions as soon as we're all here, since we haven't really been formally introduced. I can start while Krista's getting set up. My name's Jean Fay. I am a paraeducator, 23 years. I work at Crocker Farm. I'm also an Amherst resident. And I am really glad to see you on this. And I was thrilled to see that you have a background in disaster preparedness. No, seriously. So I was on Governor Deval Patrick's task force on school safety. So I helped write the guide that's being used in all the public schools, and also was part of the revision of a national school safety guide. All right, Krista, you want to go next?
Sure, just 1 second. I'm not sure if Mika has this link, so I'm sending it to her if I have my thinking face on. Okay. Hi, I'm Krista Larson. I am a science teacher at the high school. I've been teaching science for a very long time. Yeah, my background is biology and environmental work.
And I already know Ben and Stephen from last week. So I'm Emma. I'm the new health director for the public health department for the town of Amherst. My background's nursing. I have my graduate degree, like Jean said, in emergency disaster management. And I have experience in terms of boards of health from being on the Hadley Board of Health. So I'm really glad to be here.
Perfect.
I think we're still waiting for Mika.
And I was going to say, I just realized it's the first time you all are meeting Steven, at least in this capacity. So
Yeah.
Go ahead and give it a shot there, Steve.
Can you hear me this time?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. So Steve Sullivan, I live in Shutesbury. I'm a Shutesbury School Committee rep, and I'm the Shutesbury rep to the region, and this is my 6th year now.
All right. While we are waiting for Mika to join, which should be momentarily, one of the things that we did want to ask that is a continued conversation about the masks that were ordered initially by the district. And Ben, we had talked about this in a couple meetings. The status of those masks, where they're located. We never received a response to where those masks that cannot be used because they're not certified are located, as well as what the status is of the complaint the district was filing with the state attorney general's office. So I don't know if you can speak to that.
Yeah, I don't have a definitive answer on that, other than the last I knew they were supposed to have been sent back. Other than that, that's about what I have for you. And that's one of those with the continuation from the nurse manager on. There was like a breakdown in communication just because of the timing. But I can request clarity on that.
Yeah, we really need clarification because there was a large number of them. My recollection is 33,000 masks. And we want to make sure that because they are not certified, that they're not being distributed still, and they're not floating around in the buildings. Right. And what I recall from the last conversation we had about them was that the district was going to be in contact with the state attorney general's office. So just we'd like to know where they are and what the status is.
Fair, yeah. And that was is that 4 weeks ago? Was that meeting? Does that sound right? That it was about 4 weeks ago?
I believe we've been talking about them all fall, actually.
Yeah.
We put in a request for information about where the masks currently are, the status, a while ago. We were supposed to, back in October, we were supposed to receive a response about the status, and we still haven't heard anything from the district.
Following up with that, we know the district purchased new masks that were certified, and we know that the initial purchase was for around 1,000 masks, but Mike had indicated that he would be purchasing more. Do you know what the status is of how many masks we do have right now that are certified to do what they're supposed to do?
Yeah, so on the certified ones, the total order was actually 100,000.
Okay.
We definitely have 40,000 in, and we're trying to hunt down this second shipment. And so it's the nice way to say this. There's been a failure to verify that they've been delivered. Basically, they all come into the same part of the building. Like that's 60,000. That's a huge order, and the people who ship them to us, we're kind of going back and forth with. Like we wouldn't have missed 60,000 masks essentially.
I would think not.
40,000 were enough of a pain to get out of the way. So yeah.
I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, Krista, before you go on, so Ben, just for clarification, the masks, the order has been processed.
Correct.
for the masks that are certified. Some have arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And had been distributed to the buildings, correct?
Yep.
And there's some that the district is still awaiting. Is it because they came from multiple vendors?
No, so they came from one vendor, but my inclination is that they came from different warehouses from the same vendor.
So in different shipments.
Yeah. The bill of lading on the first one is different than the shipping address. So I'm thinking there's warehouse. We're waiting on warehouses to send us stuff, basically.
Okay. So the vendor is saying they've been shipped.
Right.
We just don't know where they are.
Right.
Okay. So a follow-up on that would be great.
Yep.
I think Mika is still having difficulty joining. Up there she is. Excellent. Hi, Mika. All right, while we're waiting for Mika to fully get on, you want to give us a ventilation update on the reports, when all buildings will be fully assessed and when all reports will be in?
Yeah, so the actual physical testing has been completed. There are a couple areas we wanted to retest for, basically kind of to assess how the repair work that we've done panned out, but those areas were actually over. The full report is expected by the 30th, but we're kind of hoping that it'll be done by next week. So that's about what we want.
All right, so just for everyone's understanding, so the full report hasn't been received yet. Once it's received, it gets reviewed, and then who makes the determination around repair work that needs to be done based on the report?
So that's us in the facilities department. What we try to do is maintain as much contact and communication with the Nexus consultant who's doing the testing. And so we'll get tidbits back that, so before they do the calculations, we'll get not good, doesn't seem good. And so we'll go in and kind of do our own assessment. And then we've lucked out that a lot of times when we do that assessment that they're present and they can say, we think that it's this. And I mean, they're good enough that we think that it's, problem X. 99.9% of the time it is problem X. So we've been kind of doing it as we go, but we've also been, once we get full reports back, and we kind of get it in pieces, and then we get the full thing, the full.
So, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to anyway. So we get the ventilation reports next week. I've seen ventilation reports. It does take a while to review them because there's a lot of information that's included. So let's say we review them and we're in the first week of December, and then some of them you have areas that have issues that need to be remedied. What would you say, in your best estimate, would be a timeline for when the remediation could happen with repair work for those areas?
I mean, it really depends on like the nature of the issue causing the low airflow in the room. But typically so far, I mean, we've had relatively quick turnover as far as getting parts and these sorts of things. Especially, well, since we're getting, in a lot of work being done in the high school where we have newer univents, those parts we can get in quicker. So that work, I mean, trying to give like an average.
Yeah, turnaround time.
Yeah, so for like a univent, if a univent is so we know the range, right? We're talking. We're aiming for 4, right? And so the absolute unacceptable would be 0, right? So if we're anywhere from 0 to 2, typically the things that would cause that lack of airflow could be repaired anywhere between 1 to like 3 weeks, depending on parts that we're looking at. Whereas the 2 to 4 range, that's mostly like we have to tweak what we have, So those could be repaired on the spot. The longest piece of the turnaround is getting the retesting in, just because it's pretty much in high demand. Nexus Consulting is in high demand. Actually, everyone who does that work, but so yeah, that's about the range. But then we're also in areas with the bigger air handlers, like we're working. I'll use the gyms specifically. We're going to do a bunch of work regardless of what the numbers come back as. And so that's going to be kind of ongoing.
Now, and so as far as you know, are there any staff members that are working in areas of buildings that have not been fully assessed? And what can you tell us about that, since we're still waiting for Nexus to send reports?
Right. Not in any official capacity or anything that I've seen. And we haven't gotten any reports that, so we pretty much have areas where folks aren't supposed to be anyway. And I haven't gotten reports back from buildings that, they are being inhabited. Folks are pretty much staying where they're supposed to be, which is where it has been tested and is safe.
Another question, just an update on any electrical work that's being done. Are all the exterior exhaust fans, has that work been completed yet?
I think we were waiting on parts in a couple of spots. I haven't circled back this week with the electricians to figure out all of that, but everywhere that we're using currently has been, yes. Okay.
And so this would be the subcontracted electrician, correct?
Correct.
And do you know which buildings are the work is still not completed on?
I think there's at least one in this building in a utility area. And then
it would be the middle school, correct?
Sorry, I just realized everybody doesn't know exactly where I am right now. That's right. And then other than that, I couldn't give you an accurate answer.
Okay.
But not multiple, like not the entire district, I will say that.
So at least one building,
right.
you're saying is still waiting for completion of electrical work to repair existing exterior exhaust fans, correct?
That's accurate, yes.
Thank you. All right, Mika, we see that you're here. I'm not sure if she's fully joined yet or not, because I know she was having some tech issues. Krista, do you want to talk about the contact tracing piece?
Sure. So this one I saw your ears just perk up, Emma. This one is probably for you. CDC updated its guidance on who should receive contact tracing based on what's considered close contact. And instead of having 15 minutes of a single exposure at close range, now they're saying it's a cumulative 15-minute of close contact. We're just wondering how protocol has been updated within the buildings about the updates from the CDC regarding contact tracing.
Your question, are you referring to how we've implemented that change, or?
That sounds like a great starting place. And then I'll pepper you with more if it comes up.
Well, hopefully more salt than pepper, but I have low blood pressure, so I'll be okay. So, in terms of, we just altered in terms of public health, how the algorithm that we're using in our decision tree for how we're following that, and our questions, our loaded question panel that we ask anytime that we have to do contact tracing, to really highlight try to think of individuals, people that you live with, maybe carpooled with, had lunch together, all those things. I'm just not looking at the questions right now, so I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head, but that you had close contact, any engagement within 6 feet, even while wearing a mask, for a duration of 15 minutes over a 24-hour period. So like you and I, if we were not, but if we were in the same space together, even while wearing a mask 6 feet apart for 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, and then 5 minutes in the evening, that would, like you said, be included now as a close contact. When previous to that, it was a one-time kind of duration of the 15 minutes. The change of that is related to some studies that were done actually at some correctional facility up, I think in Vermont. So this situation, it's a novel coronavirus. Things continue to evolve. All we can do is make the best decisions with the information that we have at the time, and try to be malleable. I love copper, as things evolve. So
that makes sense. So I guess the implementation of that, then, if we're talking about populations who might not be so good at reporting their time that they've been close with others, either they're young kids or otherwise are unable to keep track of where they've been all day long, does the contact tracing then, if we would have a positive case in a classroom, would the entire class then be contact traced? Considering that they will be in the same space and likely close together for 15, over the course of a whole school day, probably within range for a cumulative of 15 minutes together.
Yeah. In my experience, which, we've only been doing this for 11 months, so not a long of time, it varies with the age of the student, Like a fifth grader is going to be, well, I don't know about my son, but who knows, a fairly better reporter than my 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. I think it depends on the day. So taking those into consideration, the mm-hmm. teachers, the staff that are with those cohorts and pods, the flow track patterns. I think the school nurses who Mary and Robin have assisted already with some contact tracing for the town of Amherst, so they have experience. And I know that we're eager to and ready to help expand our program if we need to be able to contact trace actively. I think it's something that is necessary, and I think your questions are valid. And I think they're things that everybody's thinking of, right? Like, yeah, how are we going to do this?
Yeah,
what does it mean?
There's so many questions. A follow-up to that is so we have students who who are showing COVID-like symptoms. They're, let's say, in a classroom. We send them to the COVID nurse or isolation space. They get picked up, they go home. And it's not a requirement for students to produce a negative test or positive test. they just go home until their symptoms are gone. They receive guidance maybe saying, quarantine for 14 days, but let's say the student never gets a test, and so we don't know if they're positive or negative. How does contact tracing play out in that situation in a classroom setting?
Sure. So individuals, whether they're students or adults, can be what we call clinically positive, right, by those symptoms. So we can, best definitive is that PCR test result with a positive or a negative. In lieu of not having that, then if someone has symptoms that screen in for that, we would consider them a clinically positive COVID case. And if individuals were in contact within the close contacts for them, then those individuals would have to quarantine. That's the way I'm envisioning it right now without seeing it kind of in practice. But as I'm talking it through with everybody in this room, that's what I imagine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
But we would certainly encourage people to get a test as soon as we can, because even though we hear a lot about the challenges with testing in Western Mass, we do have great resources and partnerships with the Cooley Dickinson and the Stop the Spread sites, and even CVS, I think in Granby, that is able to do testing. So.
Thanks. And speaking about the testing, Amherst is on the list of the 134 school districts to be in phase 1. I think they're referring to it, the state is referring to it as phase 1 of this rapid testing for staff of school districts. Emma, have you received any information about this?
So I actually was just speaking to Robin Supernaut about it yesterday, about the Binax Now test. Pretty much all we know right now is that Amherst has been approved. I know that Robin and Mary and this are working diligently in terms of and looking at best practices for policies and procedures for that, and are going to be reaching out to the vendor as well. But in terms of having a formalized plan, Jean, we just don't have that quite yet because we just got the news. But it's a good question.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So Mika is having some tech issues, unfortunately, and she's not. We can see that it looks like she's joined, but she can't hear any of the discussion that we're having, unfortunately. I do know that one of the things that she did want to mention was the fact that there is some misinformation out in the public about what this committee does. And Ben, I see you shaking your head. Yeah, we're not a decision-making body. We don't decide whether the schools are going to be open for in-person learning. That's not what this committee does. We have no decision-making.
Yeah, I want to second that and directly address something, whether I take a beating over this or not. There was an article in the Gazette today that used that exact line, that we are a decision-making body that will determine whether or not schools reopen. I want to reiterate what I said last Friday and what Jean just said. We are not that. We are an advisory committee. What we're supposed to do is look at problems, figure out ways that can solve them, and then we can solve them and then advise. So I don't mean to sound angry about that.
It's difficult, especially for you and Stephen to be in this position, and Emma, that the public views this in a way that it's not the way it was designed. I mean, the conversation that we're having right now about the testing, the new testing that came out from Governor Baker's press conference with DESE, with Commissioner Riley, that's the kind of conversation that we have, as well as air quality issues and reports, which for some people might be boring, but that's the work that we do. So it needed to be said.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do look forward to working with all of you. My heart and soul is into providing, ensuring safe and healthy workplaces for the staff and as well as the students and the families.
And I just want to say, once we get used to this new format, I kind of sort of seeing how it's working out now. I could see that this will actually kind of be beneficial. That there should be, the result of this, I hope, is a lot less disinformation, and that folks can see where we're on the same sheet of music, and that same sheet of music is health and safety, and that's all anyone here is concerned with. I mean, I'm sure we have other concerns, but that's what we're here to be concerned about.
Well said, Ben. Thank you.
Yep, well said, Ben. Mhm.
All right, it's 4:47. It is a Friday. Emma, all I can say is thank you for agreeing to meet on Fridays at 4 o'clock.
Yes.
It's not going to be forever right now. It's what our community needs. And I know if I was a Amherst resident and my children were in Amherst schools, it would be, I'm not even in the community. I'm Hadley, right? But I just know how much it would mean to me having someone on that, and not just for the families of the students, but all of our teachers, our staff, our faculty, everyone who really the school committee community is involved. So I think it's good.
All right, with that, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I know next week is a short week, and Emma, I'm not sure about town hall, and
Thursday and Friday are holidays for town hall.
that's what I was wondering. So maybe via email, Ben, we can be in contact with you on what next Friday's meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll work it out. We'll figure
right.
something here. Yeah.
Thanks so
Great.
much.
Thank
All right,
you.
have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
And I believe, so I think how this is supposed to work is that Stephen and I are able to field questions, but I don't see any questions on my side here.
There was one question.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I had it on private chat, which is why I did not see a public comment then. So I may have missed this. The first item on the agenda was the metrics discussion / update. That conversation does not seem to have happened yet. That is accurate. We inadvertently skipped over that part. I apologize. We're trying to get used to kind of doing this, and we just came from a meeting where we actually had that conversation privately. But the numbers, as I understand, I don't want to represent anyone else's interpretation of this, but as I understand, the numbers on our website currently are the metrics that we're going off of right now. So, and thank you, Hala. All right. So if you're all set, Mr. Sullivan, Steve.
Yeah, my only question was, I thought we only had staff and administration working in rooms that had passed the tests, that there wasn't anybody in any other spaces. And to get going, we didn't need those other spaces.
And then once we kind of expanded use of buildings, we ended up doing a little more testing than we actually initially had anticipated. And it kind of served that rooms that didn't work out as far as the numbers, we had other rooms that we could move folks to. So that's kind of how it worked out. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Like, for instance, like the middle school got tested. Well, the cafeteria in the middle school got tested earlier because we were going to do this, these programs with what are normally the after school programs, with the day thing. So we had to test those spaces earlier. Sweet.
Thank you for all you're doing.
No problem. It's
it's got square wheels right now, but it's okay. It's rolling.
What we're supposed to be doing, right? All right. So I'm gonna. I don't see any questions popping up. So yeah, I'm gonna head on out and go start my weekend. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday.
See you next. Yep. Have a good one.
Ben.